All right. President Trump in a Washington, D.C. courtroom yesterday pleading not guilty to 4 charges stemming from special counsel Jack Smith's January 6th investigation. Trump blasting the indictment as a political prosecution.
This is a very sad day for America, and it was also very sad driving through Washington, D.C. and seeing the filth and the decay and all of the broken buildings and walls and the graffiti. This is not the place that I left. This is the persecution of the person that's leading by very, very substantial numbers in the Republican primary and leading Biden by a lot. So if you can't beat him, you persecute him or you prosecute him.
Well, the former president also writing on Truth Social, I need one more indictment to ensure my election. Joining me right now is Tennessee Congressman and member of the House Financial Services Committee, Andy Ogles. Congressman, good to see you. Thanks very much. How do you assess this current situation, state of affairs?
Oh, it's absolutely ridiculous. You know, like Trump said, you know, D.C.'s in a state of decay, and instead of running their city, they're focused on persecuting Trump. And look, the real story here is the criminal enterprise that is the Biden administration.
Well, the media is not covering that at all. I mean, President Biden telling reporters yesterday he's not monitoring Trump's court appearance at all. However, Biden shared this video on his social media account embracing his Dark Brandon nickname. Watch this. Very strange.
I like my coffee dark.
Congressman, your reaction?
I mean, it's absolutely absurd. I mean, they've reached a new low. I mean, the reality is we know he's not monitoring the Trump persecution because he's taking naps all day long. I mean, the guy's not fit for office. And look, you know, I have articles of impeachment out there against Joe Biden. And when we get back in September, if there's not a clear path and a clear timeline for impeachment, my articles are written in such a way that it can be offered as a privileged motion. I'm going to pull the trigger on that, and we're going to move forward. We have a 2-tier justice system in this country right now. I've had enough. My constituents have enough. And I believe America's had enough.
Well, I mean, the American people would like to see some action from you and your colleagues, frankly, Congressman. How much more evidence do you need to start this inquiry?
Well, for me, it's go time. I mean, this is one of those situations where the evidence is overwhelming. And the other problem is the media is driving the narrative. It's Trump, 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 all day Trump. Meanwhile, we could start impeachment hearings. We could start rolling out this evidence. It would be covered 24/7. And then the American people would know the corruption that is the Biden family. Look, if you and I did a fraction of the things that Joe Biden and his family had done and are doing, you and I both would be in prison. We'd be cellmates. Right? But that's not happening, and that's concerning for the Constitution, for the state of law, the rule of law, and for you and I and our freedom as we move forward. Because if they get Trump, they're coming after me next, they're coming after you next, because we're voices of freedom and conservatism for America.
So let's talk a little about what the Biden family has done. I mean, the House Republicans have released a transcript from Devon Archer's Monday testimony. While he said that Hunter Biden did not overtly say he's using his father to make deals, he claimed that the then vice president was, quote, defensive leverage. Can you explain what went on here? The transcripts also torpedoed Democrat Dan Goldman's claims that Archer said Hunter was selling an illusion of access. Turns out it was Goldman who used that phrase, attempting to lead Archer into saying as much, Congressman.
Well, again, you know, when they can't tell the truth, they obfuscate. I mean, defensive leverage, what the heck is that? I mean, they call that extortion, I think, in most courtrooms. But again, this is why we've got to move forward. There's no point in delaying. The evidence is there. Look, Jim Jordan's done a fantastic job. Comer's done a fantastic job. The evidence is there. They've got the bank accounts. We've got witnesses. Let's go. Let's show the American people what's happening. And keep in mind, the first votes for president are going to be January 15th. I mean, there's just a few months away, and it's too much of a delay. We've got to move forward. And like I said, I'm ready to pull the trigger on privilege motion. I hope we're going to see a timeline laid out very quickly in the next few weeks. But the American people deserve an impeachment of Joe Biden.
Well, Real quick, Congressman, you're going to be working on these articles of impeachment that you've already prepared when you come back in September. We've also got the September 30th deadline when the country runs out of money. What are the plans in terms of, given your role on the Financial Services Committee, in terms of keeping things afloat?
Well, as a Congress, we've been moving forward with appropriations bills. I think, McCarthy just said in the last, 24, 48 hours that he doesn't expect a shutdown. By the way, a shutdown isn't the end of the world. If the government shut down, they're not wasting your money. A lot of this is on autopilot, spending that is anyway. And so let's focus on the task at hand, which is restoring justice for this country. Look, D.C. is in a state of disrepair. The country, blue cities in particular, are in states of disrepair. And what are they doing? Instead of fixing the problem and fixing the economy for the American people, and this idea that Bidenomics is working is ridiculous. The economy is moving forward and growing despite Joe Biden. And so here we go. It's go time. We need President Trump back in the White House. I believe he's going to win the primary. He's going to win the general. Democrats are terrified. This is a man, and I mean Trump, that deserves a pound of flesh and justice, and he's going to be getting it soon.
All right, Congressman, we'll be watching all of that. Thanks so much. Andy Ogles joining us this morning.